Man overboard. Man overboard, Ansel. You know, some people invest in all sorts of activities, and you know, this family's invested in being outside, and we're gonna leave this here for them, and we're gonna, you know, they're gonna grow up appreciating this place. This is where they want to bring a power line across. I mean, this is it.
Well, if you don't know, that's me right there, Tegan Wright, creator and host of the Maine Adventure travel series From Away. I thought it important to evaluate all sides of this issue and speak to those people who are involved. So tighten up your beam boots, put on your favorite thinking cap, because here goes nothing. CMP will take hydropowered electricity from Canada on transmission lines through Maine's Northwoods to land at a New England energy hub in Lewiston and then distribute that power to Massachusetts. Now, Massachusetts passed legislation for more renewable, clean energy in an attempt to end fossil fuel usage, which is good. But after New Hampshire denied a proposal going through their state, even though it did include over $500 million worth of direct reductions in community funds, Massachusetts then approved CMP's proposal, the generously named New England Clean Energy Connect.
This just in. Under a good amount of opposition, CMP has come up with an agreement that includes $258 million to Maine and its ratepayers. But, as a recent report from Natural Resources Council of Maine states, break that over 40 years, adjust for inflation, and, well, you're looking at a whopping 6 cents off your monthly bill.
Now, CMP has to cut down 53 new miles of Maine wilderness, expand existing corridors, as well as install massive poles to transmit that power, disrupting natural habitats, eliminating other potential clean power, and destroying important view sheds that are essential for Maine tourism businesses. The onus here is on CMP, who needs to prove their claim benefits to Maine in order for this whole thing to shake out and get approval from all of these organizations. Now, one no vote will stop the project completely. All right, let's get some of the people involved here. Up first is John Carroll, spokesperson for CMP Avangrid.
Why is this important to Maine? Why, and maybe more specifically, why would Mainers want this?
Maine will get part of the solution to the challenge that we all share around global climate change. Mm-hmm. Maine will get economic benefits in terms of a stronger state and regional economy. Mainers will get lots of opportunities for employment, and everybody gets clean air.
So to dissect CMP's claims and dig a little deeper, I met with Seth Berry, co-chair of Maine's Committee on Energy and Utilities.
As far as we know, it is existing capacity. It's dams that have already been built, and that power is currently being fed onto the grid already. So all they're doing is changing the direction of the flow of those electrons. By sending it east instead of west, they will create more demand and more need for what's called backfilling from the west. That is likely to be fed by fossil fuel power generation. So there's not necessarily a net clean energy benefit from this power, if you will. You know, Maine sits very strategically at the northern edge of a huge power-hungry Northeast. So Maine has this amazing opportunity to capitalize on that and to grow our clean energy sector, whether that's in offshore wind, or solar, or efficiency, or our own native hydro. But creating a gigantic extension cord for above market existing power from Quebec to Massachusetts is not a way to do that. That short circuits our own economic growth potential.
Now, this line will intersect 263 wetlands, 115 streams, and 12 inland waterfowl habitats. CMP will pay something like $40 million in in-lieu fees, but organizations like the Nature Conservancy feel that CMP's compensation doesn't come close to the impact on our woods.
There are not adequate compensation plans for the landscape scale habitat fragmentation that will occur as a result of this project.
And maybe we can talk about the scale of it too a little bit, like the 53 miles of, I mean, that's a pretty big chunk.
It's a pretty substantial impact, 53 miles of new corridor. It will bisect the landscape and kind of create a barrier for wildlife movement. And we know that wildlife needs to move and that there are certain species that don't like to cross power line corridors. So especially as the climate changes over time, species are going to need to migrate more and more. And that western and northern forests of Maine, the North Woods, our science shows is one of kind of the last key resilient connected forest habitats.
You do recognize that this is a lumbering area, right? I mean, we're going to cut down trees, yeah. People cut down trees here every day. And if you take your camera and stand out on 201 for any length of time, you'll see the pulp logs going by, you'll see the saw logs going by, you'll see dimensional lumber going back south.
Those ones do grow back, though.
Yeah, well, they grow back, you're right. But the question is, does this 2,200 acres somehow so diminish the wildlife habitat? We don't think so.
The fear is that people come here because of its remote feeling, and that these man-made structures are going to take away from the magic that the North Woods has to offer customers. So in true river rat form, I headed to the mighty Kennebec River to take in the sights, dig deep, and meet up with the locals in the area who are holding a rally against the power lines to hear their side of the story.
We're also worried about the environmental impact of the building of that corridor. You know, the trucks and equipment going over these feeder streams. We've got some great fishing here, and it's some native brook trout, some great landlocked salmon. It's going to hurt us as a business if the fishing goes bad, but I think it's going to hurt us also as a state of Maine or a people if we start taking places like this that are untouched and breaking them up and wrecking them.
You know, the second and third generations are starting to roll in, and I think we really gotta preserve this for them. We always talk about, like, you know, different things. Oh, our kids will never enjoy that because we didn't save it for them. Well, this is something we should save for those kids and the future generation.
Coburn Mountain is our biggest draw in the wintertime. And this corridor is going to be visible for miles from the summit. And we're going to pay for it because it's going to affect, in my opinion, it's going to affect tourism because it's not, our place won't be as special as it is now.
That's ITS 86 out there. And we get 200 snowmobilers a day. And not a snowmobiler comes in here who doesn't know about Coburn Mountain. They just couldn't have picked a worse place to put this whole thing.
Central Maine Power is projected to make $60 million per year by the independent experts. Over 40 years, that's $2.4 billion with a B. And what is Maine going to get out of this? And the answer is basically nothing except a gigantic scar in some of our most valuable wilderness.